Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again like the Renegade Masters. It's the Third Along podcast. My name is Shane Harris. Above me, hitting them with the old razzle-dazzle, it's the beautiful Mr. Philip Perrins and our beloved, beautiful baby Hope. Gentlemen, it's Monday night. What a week 10 we had. How are we doing this evening?
I mean, it was a great week of football. For the first time ever, on a Sunday, there was 5 walk-off field goal wins.
Yes, I'm fully aware of one of them. How are you, Mr. Perrins?
I'm grand. About 5 seconds ago, listeners, we had a brief conversation about Shane now wanting to be a little bit more professional when hosting the pod. So he's been purchasing from is it the finest Primani or TK Maxx or whatever?
Told you before, boy. George is finest. Asda's finest.
George is finest. Now, obviously, I don't want to upstage one of my really, really best friends, but naturally, I have to wear a blazer for the show as well. But I'm feeling really, really good. You said like a couple of walk-off games, like really, really tight games. Don't know what that's like because ours was just completely one-sided. So
I know. Shane said he knows about one of the walk-off field goal wins. I was thinking, can't really relate.
No, I can't. No, and I can't relate not having the best quarterback in pro football either. But here we are.
It's been 1 minute and 50 seconds, and we're already getting a Niners ram down our throats. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for that later on. But shall we begin with some Thursday night football? You know, it's Amazon I feel sorry for. If they are paying for this every week, they've got to be having buyer's remorse.
Well, I mean, it was like last year. Even Al Michaels was complaining about the games last year. I don't know why the NFL have decided to try and absolutely screw Amazon, but they have. But I mean, they've got the Ravens this week, so heaven help them.
Whoa now. This Thursday night will be a scintillating night of football, but we will move on to that
Yes.
Thursday day when we're on the show.
We'll see Joe Burrows run an offensive masterclass.
Again, I'm not getting into it right now. You're not winding me up yet, right? So anyway, Panthers and the Bears. The Panthers lost 16-13 at Soldier Field. There was a punt return, a 79-yard punt return, in the game by Smith Marset for the Panthers.
Somebody's play of the week.
Yeah, which we will roll on to on Thursday. And Deontay Foreman scored the only touchdown over the game for the Bears. As I said, 16-13. Gentlemen, do you have any thoughts on this encounter at all?
Yeah.
Tank bowl. Not tank bowl because Panthers don't actually have a first round pick. So I'll just go with toilet bowl instead.
All right. So Amazon are paying $1 billion per season for the NFL rights for Thursday Night Football, which it's been reported. And it's been reported on Bloomberg. I'm just looking at it there. Yeah, National Football.
That's a lot of Prime subscriptions.
I mean, that's a lot considering that Amazon are the biggest company in the world in terms of how you look at it. Amazon are top tier. But $1 billion is $1 billion. And if you're churning out a Bears team who spent so much money in the offseason, had so much promise, and are so bad, I mean, let's call it what it is. The Bears won 16-13. But it was not a good game, and the Bears have failed to flatter, I should say, since the start of the season. Justin Fields, he's probably not long-term, despite what people say.
I think he's back this week.
Their quarterback, who has won 2 games in a row now, what's his name? Tyson
Bagnett, and he's not won 2 games in a row.
Tyson Bagnett.
No, it's 2-1, isn't it? 2-1? 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1.
I apologise, Ali. Thank you for interrupting me with the correction. He also didn't look particularly great either, and it came out the past week as well that the Panthers head coach didn't want Bryce Young. He actually wanted CJ Stroud, which has naturally probably gone down like a lead balloon in that organisation. And as you said, Ollie, they don't even have a first round pick this year, so it's poor. It's again probably the 2 poorest teams in the NFL. I mean, I know the Patriots are pretty bad, and we will get onto that. But I mean,
quickly.
Go on.
With your media teacher hat on, what's your view on the £1 billion Amazon or $1 billion Amazon NFL rights?
So, in terms of how I see it and how I deliver it, when you take a step back and look at how people consume media now, especially looking at TV, people don't watch live TV anymore. i.e., things like EastEnders, Game of Thrones, whatever is your preference. The only thing that people watch live are live events, i.e., sports and music concerts, or big events like anything to do with the royals or general elections. People don't watch live TV anymore. So if you're garnering interest, and this is where it blows my mind that Amazon paid this much, because Amazon don't really do advertising like Fox or Sky or any of the other things. So they've brought the NFL for $1 billion a season purely for content, because you can go back and watch the game whenever. And they do that with the Premier League stuff as well. If you open up your Amazon Prime account and want to watch Wolverhampton Wanderers beating Man City from 5 years ago on Boxing Day, that whole game is still on Amazon Prime for you to check out. So they're not just paying for the live streaming, they're also paying for the rights to keep it on that network as well. Okay, so they're not going anywhere. I find it really, really head scratching, because companies now are paying above the going rate for content. I mean, Shane, I don't know if you've been following, and sorry for the reference, the wrestling reference, but there being a big money.
Are you apologising?
Well, I just know one of the three of us isn't a massive wrestling fan. But the big media rights for where the WWE TV goes next, because SmackDown's not going to be on Fox. SmackDown's going to USA, whilst NXT is going to the CW. But there's I think NXT are going to be making about $45 million a season. Sorry, for a year to have NXT on that, on the CW. So they're paying for content, and it's just basically trying to get a big media share, with possibly the idea of adding more down the line. So I'm not saying that they're going to keep bidding it, but for when the next bidding rights come up for the next load of games, who's to say that Amazon don't pay a little bit more for a Sunday game? Or heaven forbid, in the future, they might go all in and try and get Monday Night Football. Because if you think Thursday Night Football is the lower dregs, well, they've got their foot into the door. It's similar to when they bought the rights to the Premier League, when they were just getting the midweek games that nobody would typically care about. But they've got their feet into the door now, to the point now where on Boxing Day, all the Premier League games are going to be streamed live on Amazon Prime. So it's just getting them into the door, into that particular field. So it's all just a big money crash for live content, because that's the only thing that's drawing in big viewers and keeping viewers. So that's my
100%. 100%. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. You talked about getting your foot in the door. I think DAZN have done the same, because obviously they bought Game Pass, and I think 2025 onwards, all football in Europe, including the UK, is going to be on DAZN.
Yeah, and this is the perfect bit of it, because this is when I say, in terms of Roger Goodell having probably the safest job in the entire world, because he is purely there to keep making sure that the owners, the 32 owners, keep making money. And with this particular deal, again, $1 billion a season, signed for 10 years. So the NFL are going to be making $105 billion off of Amazon alone for Thursday Night Football for the next 10 years. I've got it in front of me from Bloomberg.
That's incredible.
Why would any of the owners want to get rid of a man who's bringing them in billions of dollars? So if we work this out very quickly, hold on a second. Hold on, let's do 105 billion divided by 32. That's 3,281,250,000 divided between the 32 NFL teams.
Per season?
Means per season, over the course of 10 years, I should say. Sorry.
Yes.
So over the course of 10 years, every team in the NFL is going to be making over 3 billion. What's to stop them from keep going and making more and more money? Because again, it's a profit league. We talk about player safety, about all the turf and all that crap. No, it's all about making money for the shield, and that's why Roger Goodell is doing a great job in that aspect, because he's making it incredibly profitable. However, NFL players still don't get paid as much as NBA players or MLB players, which blows my mind. Did you hear about that?
Just touching on Carolina, No, I didn't.
Oh, so CJ Stroud gave a quote where it's basically a little soundbite saying that all the NFL players secretly want to be NBA players, whilst all NBA players want to be MLB players, and that's basically translated to NFL players want more money like the NBA players, but the NBA players want to be like MLB players because they get paid more and there's less strenuous in terms of like their physicality, because it's like over 100 games in an NBA season. Same kind of like for the MLB, but MLB players get paid insane amount of money, ridiculous money.
And then an NBA season is 82 games, and an MLB season is 160 odd. But you don't tend to play every game as an MLB player, and it's less strenuous than NBA.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you get paid all that money to swing a bit of wood. But I digress. Just touching on the Panthers for a second. I had really high hopes for the Panthers coming into the season, tooled up with the likes of former Ravens first-round draft pick Hayden Hurst, and as a guy who I'm a real big fan of, Adam Thielen. And they've just floundered. And also the acquisition of Miles Sanders as well. They've just floundered. I don't know where they go from here.
I really think Miles Sanders is an overrated running back that's had inflated stats due to a very good offensive line in Philadelphia. I don't think Miles Sanders is all that.
Well, maybe we're correct on the assumption as the Panthers are now 1-8. Anyway, that's Thursday night football put to bed until this coming Thursday. We had a game in Germany this week, gentlemen, the last of the NFL games in Europe. The rest of the games will be played, of course, in America, between Gardner Minshew's Indianapolis Colts and our very own Ollie Butler Henderson, roving reporter himself, Ollie Butler Henderson's New England Patriots. And gentlemen, I believe we have a word from Ollie.
Yes, we have more than one word. It's a video that I'll play now. As Ollie would say, roll VT.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's Ollie here, your roaming reporter for the Third and Long podcast here in Frankfurt. Day after the day before, with the Patriots losing 10-6 to the Indianapolis Colts in Frankfurt. Oh, I don't know where to start with this, if I'm honest, lads. It was two bad teams playing against each other in a bad game. That's probably the best way to sum it up. Sorry, Shane. Sorry, Phil. Gardner Minshew isn't all that. As we said in the group chat yesterday, he is a meme. He is a cult figure. He's a character. That's why we love him. That's why I like him. Okay, he missed so many overthrows. He missed so many simple passes yesterday, including that pick six or the tip drill, which went to Miles Brandt. He didn't need to throw it as low. He could have lofted it, and you would have made the receiver. But they're saying that he did make a couple of really nice throws, including the ones in the fourth quarter to, I want to say, Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. There were a couple of really nice throws, to be fair, and it was really good. Now on to the embarrassment that is New England at the moment. If it wasn't for the interception at the end, I think it could have been a different game. The game, we drove the ball down well. The run game was running really well. Zeke and Mondre were coming out of the backfield. They were receiving passes out of the backfield and making good yardage, 7, 8, 9, 10. A couple of big gains. There's a couple of 20-yard, 15-yard games from both of them. The issue is our O-line is like a turnstile. It is so easy for anyone to come through. I mean, Indianapolis don't really have any major pass rushers. And yet to get sacked 5 times in the first half alone didn't help at all. That's why they ran the ball so much, because their DBs aren't too bad in Indianapolis. And then the other issue is Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas aside, we have no wide receivers that can create separation. Juju, when he was at Pittsburgh, all day long could get that separation, could get that. Since he's had that injury, he's lost that yard of pace, so can't get the separation. They're still trying to get him to do what he was doing in Pittsburgh, and it doesn't work for him anymore. They need to use him differently. Saying that, he did work really well in the run game. He blocked really well. Not using the tight ends enough, not using Hunt Henry and Mike Gesicki enough at all. It just says everything. And on the benching of Mac, he lost his head. When he threw the interception, which was a really bad pick, really bad throw, he lost his head and he was angry. He was sat on his own. He didn't want to have anyone near him. He was pushing everyone away, and I think they did it for him because if he had come out and done that 2-minute drill, he probably wouldn't have even made the first throw. But saying that throw on Zappi, the fake spike, that was all on him. He's come out and said that's all on him and all that. That was just horrific. Absolutely horrific. And then you've got Bill Belichick. If he's in charge after our bye week on the 26th, I won't be surprised, but I will be shocked. He looked defeated. He looked out of ideas. But the problem is he hasn't evolved. This game, especially in the last 5 years, since Mahomes started taking over, you have mobile quarterbacks, you have speed, you have less reliant on the run games. That's why these running backs aren't getting big paychecks, because they're not reliant on the run game anymore. It is screened, it is jet sweeps, it is movement, it is misdirection, and Belichick doesn't go down that thing. I was right saying at the start of the season, Bill O'Brien would be the one to evolve this offense, and it hasn't happened. I don't know if that's because Belichick has got too much involved still, or what, but I don't think Belichick definitely won't be there in March. If he's there at the end of November, Thanksgiving, I will be shocked. One plus thing, at least we won't lose next weekend, and I will see you chaps on Thursday.
A lot to unpack.
Thank you, Ollie, for that. Yeah, a lot to unpack. He looks like a defeated man. You know, I couldn't it hurt me to watch the Ravens lose yesterday, but I was already our third defeat of the season. Imagine you a team being 2-8. You know, as the face of a defeated man.
But you've got a comment here saying, "Hi, Mr. Burns. Me and Merle are watching this in VR right now."
Jesus Christ! Imagine. Well, in a couple of weeks' time, you'll be seeing me in actual person and not over virtual reality, mate. So
yeah,
I'm happy for you both.
I said I feel like Ollie gets sadder and sadder as that video goes on, as he has to talk about
it.
And Ollie's come out in saying, "Behave, Shane."
Nice to see you watching, Mr. BH. Hope you had a cracking time.
So one thing that I do take massive exception to, right? And I take massive exception when Baby says it, but also when Hendo says it, because to say that, oh, it's Minshew time, baby.
Oh yeah.
You know that as soon as he was flying on that plane back to Indianapolis, he was playing a little bit of Voodoo Child, brother. Now, the question isn't whether or not. The question isn't whether or not. Oh, but Minshew didn't play that well. Oh, he threw an interception. We made some pretty bad plays. Oh. He played better than Mac, played better than Zappi, and he came away with the dub. Everything else I agree with Ollie. There's a reason why running backs aren't getting paid a lot of money at the moment. It's all about, the jet sweeps, the screens, the fake outs, the misdirections, the flea flickers, all that kind of stuff. It's just where the league is at the moment with that West Coast style. But Minshew is a solid backup to any other team in the league, and brother, he's helping the Colts not tank their season. Anthony Richardson is good. He's going to be the future of that organization. But they're a 500 team at the moment in time when they are supposed to be in complete rebuild. And if we just look at Minshew's little stats for the game against the Patriots, he threw for 194 yards. Yeah, they 64% completion rate. And yeah, his QBR rating was 42.3. But yeah, that's considerably better than the other two quarterbacks on the other side of the of the field. But not to just talk all about Minshew. If your defense can stop the score and turn the ball over, and your offense can keep scoring, whether or not it's touchdowns or field goals on their possessions, you're always going to win. But I do agree. I think Bill will see out the season. I think he will see out the season. I don't think he'll be fired mid-season. I don't think Kraft will do that to him. As ruthless as Kraft is as a businessman, I don't think that is going to happen, because I just think that the culture of the Patriots is very much the house that Bill built. And Bill only brings in his coaching tree. So even if he fired him, who's to say that the DC or the OC in place is going to do anything different? He's not.
Phil, can I ask you a question?
Ooh.
Do you remember, cast your mind back to October 1998, MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas? Do you know where I'm going with this? Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Halloween Havoc. That match was awful. It was awful. And Hogan still managed to pull out the victory. The point I'm making is sometimes you don't have to put on a good performance to still get the victory. And he did. His game wasn't the best yesterday at all. But as the viewers will know from our socials, Ollie had the privilege and honor of sending us a picture of the man himself.
Yeah.
And what a glorious head of hair that is. Yeah.
And we can just imagine the mustache under the helmet. We can just imagine that mustache under the helmet as well.
Stop teasing. Yeah, he was 18 for 28 yesterday with 194 yards. Point I'm making is very quickly, baby Hope. Who handed the ball off to Jonathan Taylor for the game-winning score?
A, as I said earlier, a trained monkey could do that. And B, I love how you had to go back to when I was 2 months old to make your point.
Point I'm making is, he got the dub regardless of sometimes you don't play well and you still get the victory. Or my biggest takeaway from this game is I felt sorry for the fans. The NFL knew what they were doing. They could bring any two teams over to Germany, to the UK, and people will still pay for it because of the market, because of the fact that it's an NFL game.
They threw a bone to Germany last week with Chiefs Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind them having a not great game. For years, the UK was given the dregs of the NFL, so I don't mind Germany having a bad game every now and again.
No, but the fact is, I felt sorry for the fans because Ollie probably paid King's ransom for him and Kelly to go over there and watch that dumpster fire.
But I mean, I'd pay the same if it was the Niners over there.
It's expensive hobby being a sports fan. Is there anything else you want to say on the Colts Patriots?
I'd just like to say that I agree with Ollie when he said Mac's pick was awful. It just looked like he just went just a little flick in the air straight to the Colts guy, and that fake spike. You're not Dan Marino. You're not Dan Marino. Like, don't try and do that.
No, you were completely right on that. I hate to say it, I don't think Mac is the man in New England at all.
No.
I don't think Bailey Zappi is the same either. They're basically trying to put a square peg in a round hole, and it's not working. And I think Bill is probably on the hottest coaching seat in the NFL. What's the old saying? Your time is up? Go on, but over it.
When your time is up, I mean, the thing that's really, really frustrating because between the three of us, we're very, very dismissive when Hendo goes, oh, but Mac was good in his rookie year. And I actually went back and looked at some of his highlight reel because I had a bit of time on my hands today. And his first year in the NFL, as a rookie, he was really good. He played better than Trevor Lawrence, he played better than Zach Wilson, he actually got game time unlike Trey Lance. And he got to the Pro Bowl that year. Did he not?
Yes,
as a rookie?
He did. Yes.
So something then happened, and again, this might just be the wrong player in the wrong scheme for him, because I think going to New England and that Patriot way, we hear McDaniel say it, we've heard Bill say it, we've heard players say it, the Patriot way of just getting the job done, sucking the emotion out. Yes, you have the old ones like Gronkowski, who's still such a party dude, regardless. Bill couldn't take that out of him, even if he injected it out of him. But I think something must have happened, and not just with the coaching, and not just having a consistent offensive coordinator, because he's had 3 in 3 years as well. I think the whole culture has just destroyed him because he does not look like a good quarterback, and he was good in his first year. As much as I hate the Patriots, but he was good, and this is what's really upsetting because he's now not good.
Yeah, as I said, I think they're a fallen dynasty, and it's going to take a lot to get them back to where they want to be. So are we okay to move on from the Germany game now?
Can I just make one quick point?
Yes, of course.
I think Kraft needs to totally clear house. Get rid of Bill, get rid of the OC, get rid of the DC, give Jared Mayo the job, get rid of the GM, who's also Bill Belichick, and get rid of the quarterback. Total reset, new rookie quarterback, new head coach, and rebuild.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ollie, we love you, but we just can't be, we can't turn a blind eye to it anymore. they need to basically have what's called a hard reset. And the other, we'll just quickly going through a couple of the other 6 o'clock games. The Steelers managed to turn back the Packers 23-19.
Yeah.
The Josh Dobbs explosion is still rolling in Minnesota as the Vikings beat the Saints 27-19. Right, it's come to that part of the show. If you want to go and sit the kettle on, you can do. If you want to go make yourself a sandwich, it is Niners time as they put a one-sided beating on the 6-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
I've been looking forward to this since the full-time whistle blew on Sunday. But Phil, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Okay then, cool. Only because I love a music. I don't know why it's now I can't turn off. Oh my god! All right, so a lot of the talk coming into this game was how hot the Jacksonville Jaguars were. I think they win 6 in a row.
5 in a row.
5 in a row before they came to us in 5 different stadiums as well. That was the whole narrative. The 49ers were coming off of a 3-game losing streak where lots of questions were being brought about Brock Purdy. Maybe Brock Purdy isn't that good. Maybe Brock Purdy isn't deserving of being the best quarterback in the NFL at the moment in time. Yes, I think massively the adjustments that had been changed for the game, i.e. Wilkes being down on the field. And again, I really love some of the VT, especially when he went to Ambry Thomas after making a play. I mean, he was like full on getting in their faces, full on ramping them up. I love it. I love it when coaches do that to their team. I really love it. That's one thing that works so well in San Francisco because Kyle is so cold. He relies on his offensive coordinators and his other coaches to do a lot of the hyping for him. And I really love to see that. I think the adjustments on the defensive line were insanely good. Bosa and Young one side, giving Trevor Lawrence no space whatsoever. And I think not having the space, not having the time made him release the ball either quick or hold on to it a little bit longer, which gave the secondary enough time to shut down any passing through the air. And I just thought the whole team looked very complete. I am devastated that CMC didn't get the all-time touchdown scoring record. However, the whole offense looked really, really compatible. Brock Purdy was phenomenal. Even Shano in our WhatsApp group last night was saying that he's player of the week. Debo looked great. I've been very critical of Ayuk. I have been because I haven't think he's played that well in the past month. He was phenomenal. George Kittle was phenomenal. The Juice, Hopi. The Juice, one of your favorite players. He scored his first touchdown of the year and he was buzzing his tits off. Like, it was a
good for him,
performance. And I mentioned it last night in our WhatsApp group, is we made the Jags look bad, but the Jacksonville Jaguars also didn't help themselves. At no point during that game, I mean, if the 49ers score on their first drive, they're in control for the rest of the game. That's the narrative that we've had throughout of all of Kyle's tenure as a coach. But we score on our first drive, and Jacksonville, even when they got to the end zone, even when they got into our side of the field, they never looked like scoring on our defense. And a lot of it was self-inflicted by themselves by trying to overcomplicate things in terms of, oh crap, we've got Bosa, we've got Young, we've got Armstead, we've got Hargrave, we've got Warner, we've got Greenlaw. Oh my God, what are we going to do with that front seven? And a lot of that was literally put on them that they couldn't answer. But it was a really, really good game. It was the game that I watched. Normally I watch Red Zone on a weekend, but I was really fascinated by this matchup. And the 49ers look legit again. We'll see in the following weeks how that looks like when we play like the Eagles, the Seahawks. We play the Ravens on Christmas Day. We've got some really, really good.
I know.
But it was a step in the right direction, and we're actually full on looking like the 49ers from the first 5 weeks.
So,
what I missed a hope?
I've got a long thing to say. Phil, I'm not sure if you've seen the press conference, but they asked Christian McCaffrey about whether Juice could have gone down on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, he said that. He said it. Yeah.
And he was like, Juice really wanted me to score unless he could score.
Yeah, he was like, Juice really, really wanted me to score unless he could score first. That was literally, and I thought that was really.
But then he went on to say how happy he was for Juice. Yeah. Second, Ollie made a comment about Josh Allen chasing Brock Purdy around the backfield. I'm still waiting for that. I'm not sure about you guys.
No, I
Chris, I do have a question from a outsider's point of view. Then, how do you think Chase Young played on his debut?
I think Chase Young changed the defense. I think we should give that man a 5-year contract today. I think the way Bosa changed the defense in 2019, I think Chase Young had that much of an impact. Whether Wilkes coming down from the field was part of that, I don't know. But I think Chase Young, he got half a sack. He was part of the forced fumble with Bosa. I think Chase Young is going to change his defense for the rest of the year. And I'd trade Armstead and keep Chase Young at the end of the season.
Yeah, I was
From
saying
one game.
Yeah, I was saying to you, you can't. I mean, the fact that they're spending $100 million on 3 of the front 4 anyway at this moment in time, you can't pay all 4 of them what they're asking for. So you're looking at which one to give up. And Bosa we need. Let's be honest. Bosa, you're not trading Bosa. It's ridiculous unless you're asking for the ultimate king's ransom, which is like 3 first-round picks for the next 3 years. Like,
minimum.
That literally, you're not giving that up. It's ridiculous. Unless it was something like, you know what, I wouldn't even give it Brock Purdy, but like say it was like, I will give you a first-round pick and Joe Burrow. I prefer Joe Burrow. I think I would prefer Joe Burrow because I think he would be better in the Shanahan scheme than Pat. But anyway, that's me. But you keeping him. I would love to keep Chase Young because 49ers have always had a Young on their team when they've gone on to win a Super Bowl. Steve Young, Bryant Young, Chase Young, ? So then you're looking at like Eric Armstead, who has not really lived up to his contract that he got paid. However, he is a big part of that defense, i.e. not necessarily like his pressures, but as a team presence. Like I mentioned about like when George Kittle is fit on the field and not injured, even if he doesn't, score a touchdown, his presence alone is phenomenal for that team. And Eric Armstead is the exact same on that defense. Javon Hargrave, I don't think he's lived up to how much money John Lynch has given him. And we're in week 10. So going into week 11, I should say. So Hargrave would be the only one that I would maybe look to ship.
Hargrave is our sack leader, though, at the moment.
Isn't it Chase Young?
No, Chase Young's got fine. Sacks while wearing a 49ers jersey.
Okay, but I still don't think he's been that great. That's my opinion, and we're equal to that. But I don't see Armstead and Hargrave being in the team next year. And also, Drake Jackson can just leave now. Drake Jackson's gone.
He's on IR.
No, but like I thought he'd be used last year. He's been used other than the Steelers game week 1. He's been very, very lackluster and underperforming. And if we manage to keep Chase Young and manage to sign him, I think that's Drake Jackson done as a 49er because he is a left end. And if we just sign someone that's infinitely better and younger, because Drake is I think he's a year older than Chase Young, or the same age or whatever, but you're keeping Chase Young over Drake Jackson. Unless you can make him into a defensive tackle as opposed to an end. But then that's Wilkes' problem, not mine. But yeah, Chase Young is must. Like he really is a must.
Yes.
Okay, and is going to say, is that all you want to say on the Niners humbling the Jags, or is there anything else?
That's all I want to say because I'm conscious for time that we've already been going for 35 minutes and we've still got a lot of
fantastic. It's only taken you 2 years to learn that. Ollie, again, so moving swiftly on to the Titans and the Buccaneers. Did you want to touch on that briefly?
Yes. So the Buccaneers, who are playing the Niners next week, beats a poor Titans team, to be honest. Will Levis is starting to look like what people thought Will Levis was going to look like. He wasn't great with 19 for 39, 199 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Baker Mayfield still looking good, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 278 yards. But I think it was Mike Evans really that was the difference. I mean, 6 receptions, 143 yards for 1 touchdown was just incredible. And that Rashad White 46 46-yard, I think it was, touchdown. 43-yard touchdown. That was pretty good too. And to be honest, the Tennessee wide receivers weren't great. I mean, you just look at the offense really. Derrick Henry, 11 carries for 24 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, if you shut down Derrick Henry against the Titans, you tend to win the game. And that was shown again. And Will Levis, without the safety blanket of Derrick Henry, I thought struggled.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you're exactly spot on with your assumption. Moving on to the another one of the 6 o'clock games as well. What is going on in Cincinnati? Which is the case of the Bengals? Which team is going to turn up? I mean, yeah, they did encounter basically the young phenom that is CJ Stroud and his Texans offense. Does anybody want to touch on that briefly at all?
Yeah. I mean, I only saw the highlights when I switched over to Red Zone. CJ Stroud is legit on course to being an MVP candidate, is he not? Like, yeah, I mean, the hype.
I don't disagree.
Like, the hype is real. When I sent you guys my thing yesterday about like all the quarterbacks, and I'm not going to read it out now. I'm going to read it on Thursday, so because I don't take up too much time. But it's not even like the Bengals played badly. It's just D'Amico's Texans are legit, and it's taken them a while to get going. But they've kind of hit something with Singletary. They've hit something with Brown. CJ Stroud seems to be the last little piece for this season to really kickstart them. Again, this was supposed to be another rebuilding year for the Texans, but they've really found something. And again, partially because I'm just, that's the reason why I look out for the Jets, because I love Robert Saleh. And I'm looking out for the Texans now on the weekend because D'Amico has got them playing really well. The defense is mean and their offense is ticking. And also Jimmy Ward on that defense, Hopey.
Still can't believe we let him.
I can't believe we let him go, but he's really leading that defense. He's playing really well. Again, very much under the radar because he's so associated with the 49ers and he's not necessarily a big name. And, the Texan market is slightly different to the Californian market in terms of how big like the news recognition is, because you think in Dallas, it's all about the Cowboys, Texans are secondary. But he's quietly going about being a really, really good, he's playing safety, isn't he? Playing, some really, really good lights out football. But I don't think it's a case of the Bengals playing bad this week. I just thought the Texans were better. And the Bengals have had some very, very suspect games since the start of the year. Again, Joe Burrow coming back from like his calf injury, then losing games that they probably should have won. Yes, they beat the 49ers. But they've also lost, 4 games where you think, they shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, the Texans, they look quite legit. I'll
just quickly go over Joe Burrow's game stats. He had a great game. He was 27 for 40 with 347 yards. He passed 2 touchdowns, one to Jamar Chase and one to Trenton Irwin as well. Joe Mixon rushed for a score as well for the Bengals. But at the end of the day, it was just too little too late. Matt Amendola kicked a field goal to win the game for the Texans. And I also read in an article today that a guy in America had a 500 grand parlay, which basically is the accumulator in America. 500 grand on 4 teams, and he won 5.5 million with that field goal. Some guys have all the luck. And there was no other games at 6 o'clock, nothing at all. So we can move on to the night of.
Can we talk about Baltimore versus Cleveland, please?
Wait a second, I've got a musical interlude for this. I've got a musical interlude for this that you'll appreciate. Hold on, give me a second.
Please don't.
Because it works 2 ways. Because the one person.
Can we please have quiet on the set?
Oh, don't.
Awesome! Came to the game to play. There's a price to pay. Time for you to get down on your knees.
Yes. There was one big Browns fan that was buzzing his tits off Sunday night. It is Mike Mizanin's The Miz, the awesome one himself, the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental titles, Cleveland Browns, who beat the Baltimore Ravens. Yes. Everyone's favorite Cleveland Browns team, one of my favorite teams in the NFL. I never wish ill upon any organization whatsoever ever. I've never done that before in my podcasting career. However, Shano, only because I'm looking forward to this as well.
Yeah, me
please
too.
tell us what went wrong. I'll take over as host on this, asking some in-depth analysis. I'll be the Gary Lineker. You be the bitter ex-player. Go on,
Mark
continue.
Lawrenson. Or
Alan
what's his name?
Hansen.
Alan Hansen. You won't win anything with
Absolutely
kids.
abysmal.
Absolutely abysmal, Jeff. It started off so well. The second Browns drive of the game, the second pass attempt, basically deflected off Kyle Hamilton, and he took it back for a 14-yard pick six. I was like, here we go. You know, it's going to be another one-sided hammering. And then Keaton Mitchell, again, this young rookie, he's absolutely unbelievable. 39-yard touchdown run. He was just gone off to the races. And as I said, 14-0 up, and I was thinking to myself, yep, another big win, 8-2, no worries. We're going to put the Browns to bed. And everything after that was just awful. This Browns defense is legit. I got to be honest, I'll give credit where credit's due. Lamar Jackson touchdown pass to OBJ again for another one. That's 2 weeks in a row he scored touchdowns. But I've always said, and I'm as much as I'm not a big fan of him as a person, Deshaun Watson is an incredible football player. And I think he's worthy of that contract, even though he's a bit of a suspect individual, shall we say. He was basically, the second half, he was 14 for 14. He didn't put a foot wrong in the second half. And they just basically marched up the field. And I knew they were going to kick that. Dustin Hopkins kicked that 40-yard winning field goal, and he did. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield.
I mean, as we know from past history, Deshaun Watson isn't used to people saying no to him, and he will find a way to get what he needs to out of something. So when the Ravens went 17-0 up in the first quarter, he literally wanted to have his own way with the Ravens, did he not? So where does this then lead? Because it's a tough conference anyway for you guys. In terms of who you have, the Browns look legit. You're 7-3, they're 6-3. You're due your No, the Browns are due a bye week, so no, wait. Have you had your bye week yet?
No, not yet, no.
Okay, that makes sense on why you're 7-3 and why they're 6-3. So is this just a blip in the road? Because I still fancy you guys going to the divisional round and then getting beat. So do you still fancy yourselves getting that far?
There's a common trend on the Raven socials that teams don't beat us, we beat ourselves.
Yeah.
And the fact that it happened again. On Sunday, we played the Steelers, we beat ourselves. We played the Colts, we beat ourselves. But also, you've got to contend with Minshew Mania, which is never an easy task.
Yes,
we've got the Bengals on Thursday night now. And the Bengals are 5-4, we are 7-3. This coming Sunday, the Browns play the Steelers, who are both 6-3. So this AFC North is quite competitive. I want to say, I'm not being big-headed when I say this or being slightly biased. I think it's the best division in football.
I think at the moment that's correct.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that. All we can do is move past it. Marlon Humphrey came off towards the end of the game. They say the injury is not as bad as we thought it would be, and he should be day-to-day and should be in line to go on Thursday. But other than that, all we can do is move past it.
Can I ask you a question, Shane?
Yes.
Do you think you beat yourself on Sunday, or do you think the Browns beat you?
Little of column A, little of column B. That Browns defense is number one in the NFL for a reason. Myles Garrett is an absolute animal. We used to having our way against all of these offenses and I think we've got something like 18 sacks in 18 games, which is a new NFL record. We're so used to having our way, but we didn't have it all our own way on Sunday. And I think towards the end of it, the wheels came off. So it was a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. When Lamar Jackson's pass was deflected and picked and taken for a pick six by Newsome, I had a bad feeling. In the words of Han Solo, I had a bad feeling about this. But yeah, as I said, I just think now we need to pick ourselves up because I think we'll go far. I mean, and Super Bowl's not out of the question, but we need to avoid games like this again.
So roll on to the
Yeah.
main
So
topic.
go on. Yeah. Moving swiftly on, thankfully, to the 9:05 games. I believe Lions and the Chargers was an absolute thriller at SoFi.
Yes.
Anybody want to touch on that at all?
Yes, I will talk about this one if that's okay with you guys.
Please.
Yeah, of course.
This was an absolute shootout between one good quarterback and one quarterback that's overrated. In my opinion.
Are we talking?
So-
That's it. I'll go Jared Goff.
I was going to say, why are you burying Jared Goff? He's brilliant.
I'm not burying Jared Goff, I'm burying Justin Herbert.
Okay, all right, good.
So yet again, the defensive mastermind Brandon Staley shipped 41 points. Both of the running back twins in Detroit, as usual. David Montgomery, 12 carries, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. What an addition Jahmyr Gibbs was to that offense. Everyone laughed at him when they picked him so high, but what a player he's been. I'm on Ross St. Brown. I'll hold my hands up. Last year, I told Ollie it was a reach, taking him round 4, but what a game he had. 8 receptions, 156 yards. But funnily enough, I think the best performance was actually in a losing effort of Keenan Allen's 11 receptions, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I know I bury the Chargers a lot, but these last 2 games, that's the best I've seen them play since Phillip Rivers. Since probably 2010 when they had number 1 offense and number 1 defense. They were very unlucky and they just came up against a pretty imperious Lions team. And last week, I know they were playing the Jets, but they look pretty good. So I think the Chargers could be a team to actually watch out for the second half of the season. I don't think it'll be enough for Brandon Staley to save his job. Well, I hope it's not enough, so we can actually get a decent Chargers team next year. But the Chargers are starting to look a bit good, and we're unlucky to lose this game. But we talk about, I think it was last week we talked about adverts for the game. Add this one to the list.
Yeah, 100%. Look, the amount of points. I know Matt said my strong point, but I believe that's 79 points between the 2 teams. That's a very good advert for football. Philip, do you have anything to say about this game at all?
No, not. I just thought it was quite funny that Dan Campbell's whole thing is about building up on defense, and yet the whole game felt like there was no such thing as defense, and it was just an offensive shootout. And again, Jared Goff has a history of winning offensive shootouts when it comes to just high-scoring games. Don't forget, he beat Patrick Mahomes when he was at the Rams. In that high-scoring game a couple of years ago when he was there, and he's done the same thing again against a different team in LA this time, and he just looks really, really good. I'm a big fan of Jared Goff. I remember when he got traded. He's currently sitting on 2,500 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's having such a great year with a great team, and the Lions are going to be going to the playoffs, and whatever they do is going to be up into the lap of the gods. But this is a good Lions team, considering that when Dan Campbell took over, they were a joke. He got them into the playoffs last year. Yeah, did he get into the playoffs last year? He didn't he? The Lions played them in the playoffs.
No, they didn't make it to playoffs.
No. Oh no, because Green Bay did. That's right.
Yeah, but but then they're literally destroying the division, and it looks amazing.
I was going to say, and the fact that I think we're all pulling for the Lions as well to do as well as they can in the playoffs.
I mean, and next week they play the Bears, so again, I'm not expecting the Bears to put up much.
I'm going to call this now. I think the Lions are going to be the first team to win their division this year.
Ooh. You heard it here first, folks. Moving swiftly on to State Farm Stadium, which saw the return of mercurial quarterback Kyler Murray to the Cardinals offense en route to a 25-23 win over the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes,
what do you want to go on?
Me just going to say, me preaching about how Kylie Murray was never going to take another sack for the Cardinals got proved wrong.
Where do you want to go next, boys? Arlington or Seattle?
So just touching about Kylie very, very quickly. He made his return and he looked good. To the point where I actually think now that he still might have at least another year in Arizona.
I think them trading Josh Dobbs might give him that.
Yes, I think that I don't want to say like the Dobbs problem. The Dobbs problem is now Minnesota's issue for what happens with in their off season. But Kyler looked good, and Kyler's already hit his ceiling. But for a team that is now 2-8 instead of 1-9, they played well under him. And again, it was a really good game, 23-25. The Falcons aren't great, but they're not the worst. But the Cardinals were convincing, and Kyler, 249 yards passing, he had one interception, but I'm willing to overlook that considering how much football he's missed. But he looked really good. He looked really, really good. Sorry, that was just my little.
I think we should go to Arlington next, Shane.
Yeah, of course, no worries. We can go to Arlington, Texas, Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys, they're the most, honestly, I'm going to start calling them Nemesis or Wicker Man or something like that, because they're taking their fans on a roller coaster this year. They're very much up and down. They beat a very, very poor New York Giants team by 49 points to 17. And I was going to say the Cowboys played well in this game. I'm just going to get the numbers up for Dak Prescott here.
I just like to say this.
104 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
That's CeeDee Lamb. He's not bad, is he?
He's all right, didn't he? We do. Yes, Philip.
Can we just say this is a measuring stick, though? The Cowboys have faced the Giants twice this year, and the aggregate score is Dallas Cowboys 89, the New York Giants 17. So when we look at it in the grand scheme of things, the Giants were 17 points better in Week 10 than they were in Week 1, but by no means are they a measuring stick of how good the Dallas Cowboys are, considering that they have lost to the Cardinals this year, and they got blown out to their longtime rivals, the 49ers. So CeeDee Lamb is good, and I was actually really, really blown away with. Well, I was a little bit shocked because of how much coverage it got on Red Zone, because it was literally just like possession Cowboys, possession Cowboys, possession Cowboys. But then you have to take a step back and go, the Giants are the worst team in pro football this year. So them putting 49 points is impressive, but it's the equivalent of me playing Madden on rookie. Like, I'm going to score a lot of points.
Which you do.
No, I play. No. I play professional. Right, let's talk properly. I play professional.
It's Newcastle versus Burton Albion.
It's Newcastle Sunderland.
So I play on rookie, as we know. I'm a bad loser. Boys, I do have a question as well.
I play on All Pro.
Nah,
it's not fun. I'll send it to me.
Yeah, I know, but it just gets you annoyed and makes you want to break a controller. I have a question, though. Is Tony Pollard the most disappointing running back this season so far?
I don't think so. This is my Tony Pollard had a very bad injury against the Niners last season. That was bad. Just like it took Michael Gallup 2 seasons to get back into it after his injury, I think it's going to take him 2 seasons. So I think we need to look at how Tony Pollard's doing next season for what he really has, because I think this season not is a write-off, but I think he will only be fully fit next season. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway.
And there was even a Cooper Rush sighting in Dallas as well.
Yeah.
So like we said, 49-17 Cowboys. And the last game before the late games was from Lumen Field in Seattle, where the Seahawks beat Terry McLaurin and the Commanders 29 points to 26. Gentlemen, do you have anything quickly to say about this game?
I've not seen this game, so I'll defer to you two.
The only thing it was just like the Seahawks won, but it wasn't an overly. I say it was an overly great game. When it clicked over to like red zone, it was like backwards and forwards, and obviously as a NFC West and 49er fan, I never want the Seahawks to win ever. I really wanted the Commanders to win because I'm a big fan of Howell. But Gino played really, really well, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns, which keeps them in contention and second place in the NFC West in general. There's one game that we haven't mentioned though, and that is the Steelers Packers. I just want to say out loud, how are the Steelers 6-3?
Yeah, I know. It's surprising because everyone had written them off before
Innit?
the season started, haven't they? But their defense is really carrying them.
Everyone was writing them off after they got embarrassed against the 49ers week 1 because it's that grade A tool of going, we went undefeated in the preseason. Kenny Pickett's the new coming of Terry Bradshaw. No, Kenny Pickett is not great. And Jordan Love outplayed him despite the fact that Jordan Love threw 2 interceptions. I'm just really surprised because the Steelers are grinding out wins, like you said, via their defense. Their defense is playing lights out. But I just think if they make it to the playoffs, and again, they've still got the Ravens, they've still got the Browns this weekend. They'll be one and done. I don't see them doing anything. But this is really irritating that they're a 6-3 team, and yet you would think by the way that they're playing and how people are reacting that they're actually 3-6 instead.
Just quickly look at their record. They lost to the Niners on the opening weekend of the season, beat a very, very good Browns team. I didn't think the Browns team, basically, they had, what's his face? Not Deshaun Watson, Robinson.
PJ Walker. Oh,
PJ Walker, sorry, yeah.
No, you're right. It was Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah, they had him under center, so yeah. And then they beat a very poor Raiders team, lost to the emerging Houston Texans, and then they had a 17-10 win against some other team. Then they had a bye week, and then they beat the Rams 24-17, lost to the Jags, and we all know how good the Jags can be, 20 points to 10, and beat a poor Tennessee side, and beat a poor Green Bay side as well.
Tennessee played well in that game.
As I said, they've got the Browns this weekend now, so we'll see how that one shakes out. And let's roll on to the last game of the weekend, the late night game before we mention Monday Night Football. The Jets, who couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat, against another equally bad team who couldn't beat a dusty carpet, the Raiders. Gentlemen, the choice is yours.
I say we let the resident Raiders lover, Pepsi Phil, talk about this one.
I'm not surprised that the quality was not great here because lots of varying factors. I didn't think Zach Wilson played badly in the game. I'm not pro Zach, but I'm not anti Zach. I just think, again, like maybe McCorkle, he was just in the wrong situation in the wrong team. I think and I said this last night, if Aaron Rodgers had come 2 years earlier and Zach could sit behind him for 2.5 years, and then this happened now, I think Zach would be a lot more along the line with his progression of being an NFL quarterback. There was one particular play, I think it was the final play of the game actually, where it was a blitz from the Raiders and he eluded Max Crosby, and then there was an outside linebacker that he managed to, it was really good how he stepped away from me. He avoided contact, and he just Hail Married it into the end zone, and he just got battered away, I think, by Nate Hobbs. And that was the final play of the game. Zach's not great, but Zach is not the reason why they're struggling. I don't know whether or not it's Nathaniel Hackett. I don't think whether or not it's the offensive line, because it was just Max Crosby, some of those plays last night, he could have moonwalked, towards Zach Wilson without having any pressure whatsoever. And I just think something needs to happen to stop the season from being completely right off, because the Jets have a star defense. They're a great defense. They're built around Robert Saleh's ideology of playing defense. It's just their offense is just so bad. It's actually quite insufferable. And I don't know where is it recruitment? Is it progression? Is it schemes? Is it defensive lines? Is it personnel? What is it? We don't know. Going on to the Raiders very, very quickly to praise them. The Raiders defense is phenomenal. The last 2 games, in fact, the last 3 games, the Raiders defense has been phenomenal, and has been mostly for the entire season. The problem has been not being able to score. And I do know, listen, because I watch the NFL Network, they're almost creating a playbook week by week because they've got rid of everything that McDaniel's brought in. So it's almost the equivalent, again, it's almost like just downloading a playbook from the internet or Google and then just adapting it that week. So there's nothing set in. So there's a couple of plays that look quite basic because it is just back to basics offense. And I think it will be back to basic offense until next year when they've had a bit more time to play with it. Aiden O'Connell looks okay. Devontae Adams there was one-handed catch that went slightly behind him, and he caught it one arm and managed to pull it in and then pull himself out. I thought that looked really, really good. It was an underwhelming game if you're looking for high scoring, considering that we had the line in the Chargers. But it was really a case of defense. Both defenses showing why a lot of them have pro bowlers. I think there's more upside to the Raiders going forward. The momentum's with the Raiders. Something's wrong with the Jets. And maybe mid-December, which they could be out of contention completely by then if Aaron Rodgers is due to come back by then. But yeah, the Jets just can't score. They just can't score. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to fix that when he gets back.
Yes, baby Hope.
I just want to touch on when Phil said, what's wrong with the Jets offense? Honestly, I think it's talent.
Yeah.
Behind Garrett Wilson,
Wow.
they don't. Behind Garrett, their running backs are good, but behind Brees Hall, they don't really have much. And behind Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver, they don't really have much. And their O-line isn't
Dalvin
great.
Cook, a running back.
Yeah, but he's not done anything this season. He can't buy a yard. And their offensive line isn't great, which isn't helping Zach Wilson as he's having to run for his life most plays. And I just think that is costing the Jets big time. I've seen a lot of the Jets this time because I watch a lot of the primetime games, and the Jets seem to be on primetime every week at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's because a load of those networks, and again, when I talk about like buying packages, a lot of those networks bought those games specifically expecting Aaron Rodgers. And let's not forget, like last year, how many times the Broncos were on primetime games because a lot of those networks brought those games to have Russell Wilson, the old Russell Wilson. And the same thing's happened this year.
Yo, Russell Wilson.
Nobody was paying all that money to watch the Saints this year. They were paying that money for Aaron Rodgers this year. And that deal might as well just been burnt within the first 2 minutes, week one.
100%, gentlemen, spot on. And as we roll on to the last game of Week 10, Monday Night Football comes from Highmark Stadium in beautiful Orchard Park, New York, as Josh Allen's Buffalo Bills take on the aforementioned Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Gentlemen, can you please explain to me why this game is worth staying up for the UK fans?
Because we get to watch a good Buffalo offense.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm saying that.
Pretty much.
I want to watch Josh Allen. That's the reason. I know he's inconsistent, but he can play well. And I like James Cook. I like Stephon Diggs. That's the reason I'm staying up.
So Josh Allen is. I go in peaks and valleys with Josh Allen. Sometimes I'm in awe of him, and then sometimes I go, Jesus Christ, why did I put all my money on him being MVP last year? Like, what is actually his ceiling? Josh Allen he's second now, unless he throws 2 interceptions this evening. He is only second place in the league for interceptions this year. And my predictions have not been great this year. My crown is steadily dissolving in the vat of acid that is my predictions. I really genuinely don't see the Bills falling at home to this Denver offense. Denver have gotten slightly better this year, but not by much.
Lightning can't strike twice.
Yeah, and the Bills have more to lose than the Broncos have to gain, if that makes sense. Like the Broncos win. They go 4-5. Okay, whatever. They're still not going to make the playoffs, and they'll finish mid in the draft places. And I don't think they've got a first round this year either. Because lol, Seattle. Whilst the Bills, they're 5-4. They really, they want to separate themselves from like where the Jets are. They really want to catch Miami in terms of where they're placed for the playoffs. And I think the Bills have more to lose than the Broncos have to win. And I really don't see us having an inconsistent Josh Allen, because he's thrown for 18 touchdowns this year, 9 interceptions. So for every 2 touchdowns, he gets an interception. So if he throws for 3 today, one of them is likely to be an interception. But yeah, I think the Bills win.
Yeah, I've got the Bills win too. The Broncos somehow went into Arrowhead and beat. I think it was at Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs.
Yes, it was.
Chiefs. But as I said, lightning doesn't strike twice. I don't see them going into another team stadium like Orchard Park and beating the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at their 3 games that they've won this year. They beat a very poor Bears team. They beat just only by 2 a very poor Packers team. Yes, they comprehensively beat the Chiefs, but they have a good record against the Chiefs, don't they, in recent years? It seems to be
a horrible record. It's the first time they beat them in like 16 years.
What, the first time they beat them in 16 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chiefs.
So we let's say it is a freak result, but they've only beat 2. I mean, they got beat by the Raiders, beat by the Commanders, smashed by the Dolphins, lost to the Jets, lost to the Chiefs. Sorry, in week 6.
What was the Dolphins score again? It was something absurd.
70-20.
Yeah.
So I just don't see. Even if they're playing I don't see the Broncos getting anything in New York. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I 100% agree, boys. So I think it's unanimous from the podcast perspective. Get your money on the Broncos, as is tradition on this show.
However, again, sorry.
Go on.
So just lastly, looking at the result, the Bills are also 4-1 at home at the moment, and the Broncos are 1-2 away. And
let's remember, the one that the Bills lost at home wasn't in Buffalo, but it was in London.
Yeah, it was in London. So they're actually undefeated
in
Highmark Stadium, whilst the Broncos have only won 1 away fixture this year.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That gives you something to think about, something to ponder for the wee hours of Tuesday morning. We will be back on Thursday, and hopefully our intrepid globetrotting reporter is back. Sorry, what?
I said it's a foursome.
I was going to say that. Hopefully our intrepid globetrotting reporter, Mr. BH, will be returning to the show. Yes. This should be available on Spotify tomorrow morning. Well, depending what time Ollie gets up and puts it on the platform. I've been Shane Harris. Gentleman above me, Mr. Perrins. Baby, beautiful baby Hope. We will see you Thursday night. Enjoy Monday Night Football or Monday Night Raw. Pick your poison. You can't do wrong with either. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.